Welcome. This is Monty once again from DPL Surveillance Equipment. We're a full-service surveillance and security equipment company. We have lifetime guarantees and warranties on all the products. We have 24/7, 365 tech, sales, and customer support. We have perhaps the largest inventory of items that not only can you buy, but you can rent and layaway as well. A lot of customers use our rental program as a try before you buy program. They basically start off renting, and then at some point they convert that rental into a purchase. So yeah, try out the products when you rent, you guys, and then if you decide later on that this is the type of product that you want to keep around permanently, then just convert that rental into a purchase, and so you get to try it out for a week or something, a few days or whatever it is that it takes, and then you convert it into a purchase. Very simple, very straightforward. And then we send you an invoice and just convert that again into a purchase. At the same time, if you decide, after renting that you don't have a permanent need for the product, then of course you just send it back and pay the rental costs and the shipping. Let's see, and the layaway program has been enhanced so that it's very easy, very simple to implement. You guys just tell us basically how long you want to have those payments go out, 6 months or a year, and you pay a fixed amount every month, and that final payment is going to include your shipping. So after that, we just go ahead and send that product out according to the particular shipping amount that you specified when you initiated the layaway program. Some of the products that we offer include, all of them are lifetime guaranteed and warranted, by the way. All of them are law enforcement grade. All the products are state of the art. Some of the products include, but are not limited to, bug detectors, otherwise known as counter surveillance equipment, Nanny cameras, GPS trackers, audio bugs, digital voice recorders, digital video recorders. The digital voice recorders are sound activated, time and date stamped. The digital video recorders, etc., are time and date stamped, motion activated, heat sensitive. A lot of them viewable over the internet, viewable by way of your smartphone, etc., etc. So leave home, leave the country, whatever, log back in and check things out. Okay, enough of the products. Let me see. The last thing we should give you is the phone number. 888-344-3742. That's 888-344-3742. Give us a call anytime. We're 24/7, 365. This particular session, you guys, we're all the way up to, what is it? CyberSecurity Newsflash, episode 11. That's CyberSecurity Newsflash, episode 11. We call this Hackers Take Advertisers for $7 billion a year by creating fake traffic, fake website, and fake customer accounts. Okay, again, hackers are taking advertisers for $7 billion a year. They not only create fake traffic, they create fake websites, and they create fake customers. Okay, now this is very, very significant because our company also uses Facebook. Excuse me, I'm trying to wake up here. Our company uses Facebook like everyone else. We use, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Yahoo, and everyone else. LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, you name it. We use them all like everyone else, like you guys. We're no different. But I've always, like a lot of you in the back of your mind, you wonder whether or not, we're reaching all of these people. Facebook says we got 1 billion people. LinkedIn says we got hundreds of millions of people. Twitter says, yeah, work with us. We got 100 million people we're reaching every month. And, of course, Instagram and Pinterest and all this. So you start doing the math, and pretty soon it's like, wait a minute. I should be reaching a couple of billion people, right? My advertising is such that I really should be, the phones really should be ringing off the hook nonstop. The website orders ought to be streaming in like a torrential flood. You name it, the faxes, every form of interacting with us to get that order in, we ought to be bombarded, right? And then we always think, oh yeah, maybe it's my advertising, or maybe it's my product, or maybe it's my pricing, right? But the numbers typically indicate that once you reach critical mass, it really doesn't matter. You should be getting a certain amount of traffic just as a small percentage of the total amount. If the total amount is $1 billion to $2 billion, my 0.00001% or something should be culminating and me getting a whole lot of business, additional business. Otherwise, why bother? What difference does it make that you got 1 billion people on Facebook and a couple of 100 million here and a couple of 100 million there on the various other social media sites? So anyway, we've spent a lot of money, like a lot of you guys, on advertising on social media sites. But lo and behold, guess what? We're finding that Facebook, they're having their services audited, okay? The advertising and the marketing algorithms are actually being looked at by third-party organizations, and they're finding out, guess what? It looks like the video clicks and the impressions and such are not adding up. The numbers are not even close to being accurate. And then Facebook comes out and says, oh yeah, you know what? We're off. We could be off by 20%. We could be off by 30%. I'm sorry, you guys. We've been making mistakes. Our algorithm needs to be tweaked a little bit. So I'm thinking, well, isn't this a revelation, okay? I've been paying you guys a lot of money, on each and every social media site, and you're finally telling me that you don't really have a handle on how to ascertain who's been clicking on my links, who's been, supposedly watching my videos, and who's been liking my page. It's kind of weird. So to add insult to injury, now we find out, and I'm going to read a lot of stuff to you guys verbatim because I don't want to interject too much of my own personal editorial into this. So listen to this, okay? An expansive botnet run by a Russian cybercriminal gang netted more than $3 million a day by generating fake views of online video advertisements. The finding is already reinforcing concerns over the prevalence of fraud in online marketing. The operation, which had been noticed by others in the industry, came to broad public attention through the release of a detailed report by White Ops. That's white as in the color white, and ops like, ops or operation or something. OPS. White Ops is a security company that focuses on detecting fraudulent ad traffic. White Ops says that the botnet, which is nicknamed Methbot, like a meth addict or something, like Methbot, METHBOT, is the largest and most profitable ad fraud operation to strike digital advertising to date. As many as 300 million video ads per day were viewed not by humans but by automated bots designed to mimic the behavior of real users online. Okay, now this is substantial because White Ops is actually looking at the idea that not only does Facebook and not only does Twitter and LinkedIn and these guys, not only do they not know how to audit their own clicks and views and likes to give us accurate numbers, but actually they're letting hackers somehow compromise their systems, the ad network, to the point where all the numbers now have to are subject to be debated, okay? Let's continue and see what else we can get out of this. The victims are marketers who spend money to place video advertisements on top-tier publishers. Their ads ended up on fake websites that were designed to look like those of real publishers. White Ops estimates that more than 6,000 publishers were spoofed, showing the scale of Methbot. Video ads commands some of the highest premiums in online advertising, trumping the stake from text or display ads. Publishers may receive as much as $36 per 1,000 views, a metric referred to as CPM, for video ad, although the average take is slightly more than $13, according to a report from White Ops. So typically, you pay $13, but you can get up to $36 per 1,000 views. Okay, provided that these are all real. Okay, most of the techniques used by the Russian gang to game systems have been around for a long time, says Jerome Segura, a leading malware intelligence analyst with Malwarebytes. But the scale of Methbot, which employed rented infrastructure in the United States and the Netherlands, rather than hacking into personal computers, is impressive, he says. Most of the ad fraud that you see typically is malware-based computers that are infected, he says. In this case, and this is really important, you guys, in this case, they had to buy all of this infrastructure. That costs a lot of money. It's not everybody who can do that. It's somebody who has the skills to pull this off. So not only, you guys, is this very sophisticated, but these are insiders, okay? These are people who know how the advertising services work with the social media sites. They know about the algorithms. They know about the infrastructure. They know about the hardware. They know about the cookies and such, okay? Let's read further and see what else we can get out of this. Fake surfers and fake sites. Digital advertising offers marketers fine-grained control over who sees their ads. The innovation has driven the growth of the industry, which is expected this year to surpass TV ad revenues, according to market researcher eMarketer. But major players in the industry have long realized the threat cybercriminals pose to their businesses. They've also sought to tamp down doubts that digital ads may be not reaching their target audiences by employing security techniques designed to distinguish between real people and bots, and by only counting impressions times the ads were the ads were delivered to an end user from the farmer. Okay, so it looks like there's been lingering doubts for a while in terms of whether or not the online industry again has been delivering accurate numbers. Methbot used a variety of methods to defeat those measures and get the maximum value from each video impression. The gang used a network of more than 570,000 IP addresses to build a fraudulent network of bogus web surfers who appeared to be an attractive pool of consumers to advertisers. Those fake consumers then visited fake websites created by the gang, cheating advertisers out of their money. Now, this is really interesting because you got 570,000 IP addresses that were made up, and these fake consumers who are looking at who are clicking on these links to these fake sites, the fake consumers have fake profiles that obviously look like they have profiles that you would be interested in. They probably made up high education levels for the fake customers, high income levels, you name it. Everything looks ideal, and the advertisers were probably, their mouths were probably watering, thinking, I've reached the ideal demographic. Little did they know that this was all designed to entice advertisers so they couldn't turn down the opportunity to advertise to these fake customers who went to fake websites and clicked on these links that were actually bots clicking on the links. Okay, see what else we got. This is really comprehensive. The web browsers that viewed ads were rigged to have sought after browsing histories, a metric that is used to target ads. The IP addresses were manipulated to appear to come from consumers from the United States, ISPs such as Verizon and Comcast. So again, these fake consumers look like they were the ideal customers that any advertiser would want to do business with. The bots also came with social media credentials. Methbot forged login information that made it appear as if a user is logged in when an impression occurs, the report says, because bots can sometimes be detected through mechanical cursor or mouse movements. Methbot also forced that activity. So it looks like the fake consumers were clicking on, moving the mouses around, looking at ads, viewing videos, every single behavior that a normal person would exhibit looking at ads on a website, okay? And the industry response. White Ops says it first identified Methbot in September 2015 after it detected a stream of bot-related traffic with a unique signature. The company noticed the traffic was affecting some of its clients, but the activity suddenly surged in October, which contributed to its recent decision to release related information publicly. At this point, the Methbot operation has become so embedded in the layers of the advertising ecosystem, the only way to shut it down is to make the details public to help affected parties take action, the report says. So look, I'm telling you guys right now, White Ops has disclosed a dirty little secret associated with online advertising. In other words, now we're finally finding out that, again, Methbot and these types of online advertising fake networks are so deeply ingrained in the internet, in the advertising industry's programs, that it's hard to get them out of there. It's hard to really tell what you're paying for. So I'm advising everyone to go to the FTC, go to the Federal Trade Commission, and go to the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Let them know that Facebook, Twitter, maybe LinkedIn, Instagram, whoever, everybody needs to have their books audited, okay? Because if the infrastructure is so compromised to the point where we don't know real computers, real people, real websites, because, you know, when you pay for advertising, you farm out, you outsource the whole procedure. You know, you give your business to an advertiser or marketer, they send that job and it goes out and websites are you know, are getting clicks and getting impressions, and we don't know who those websites are. We don't know which ones are legitimate, which ones are fake, and at the same time, we're told that, you know, okay, now you got to write a check because you have all this traffic, you have all these impressions, all these clicks, all these views, and just send us a check because we're making you famous, right? In the meantime, you're waiting for the cash register to start ringing, but no one is honestly able to tell you with any great deal of accuracy, you know, what's going on, okay? Again, because the infrastructure is compromised. There's fake hardware out there. There's fake websites. There's 570,000 IP addresses, okay? The online advertising industry is massive and it's difficult to keep track of the players. Security says that large companies have a strong interest in making sure fraudulent traffic is caught quickly, but others are less motivated because they get paid whether the traffic is genuine or not. Employing security measures cuts into the bottom line. So it looks like there's a conflict of interest. There's a lot of players in the online advertising space. A lot of them don't want to know that there's fake traffic, that there's fake websites, because if people get skeptical at the companies like mine, the advertisers, the company with the people with the products and the services that we're promoting, if we get skeptical enough, we're not gonna want to work with anyone, right? So yeah, this is a critical point in terms of we need to make sure that we cause everything to be put on hold while we get the reassurances that everybody has a vested interest in uncovering this dirty little secret, okay? Again, Segura says, not everyone has an interest in fighting fraud. The losers are actually their customers, their brands. Those people trust the ad industry. White Ops report caused a stir. One major advertising network, AppNexus, that's AppNexus, NEXUS, says it had caught and blocked most invalid traffic that had come from Methbot. AppNexus says that in the past week, only $500 went to IP addresses controlled by Methbot. So it looks like AppNexus might be getting a handle on how to determine real traffic from fake traffic and such. Okay, based on an initial analysis, we have a high degree of confidence that AppNexus has very limited exposure to Methbot, according to a December 20th email sent by the advertising network to its customers, a copy of which was obtained by Information Security Media Group, or otherwise known as ISMG. We continue to invest heavily to ensure that all traffic on the AppNexus platform is valid. The ongoing gaming of online advertising has somewhat been an elephant in the room for a while, says Craig Spiezle, S-P-I-E-Z-L-E, Executive Director and President of the nonprofit Online Trust Alliance, which offers guidance to businesses to help them battle fraud. Methbot, however, will intensify questions about whether advertisers have been placing excessive numbers of digital ads on questionable publisher websites with fake news stories, Spiegel said. Spiegel. The traffic boost that fake news stories have received on social media sites such as Facebook and Twitter in recent months is believed to have been a powerful force in the U.S. presidential election. The online advertising industry is being hit with the perfect storm. So you have fake news drawing traffic to fake ads, being clicked on by fake customers, being hosted by fake computers. So this is a mess, you guys. This is a major mess, scam, fraud, whatever you want to call it. And it looks like we're finally finding out. And so if I were you guys, I would withhold payments to any social media site, for instance, or any person or agent that tells you they're going to drive traffic to your site. I would wait and get a certification, get audits from third-party companies, something stating that these companies are going to be held accountable, and that their records and logs and have been audited and looked at, and they got a certification indicating that they know exactly who's part of their ad networks. They know exactly whether or not their infrastructure is compromised or not, and they know exactly what the liabilities are. And you should know what the liabilities are going to be just in case there's a problem, so you can complain to the appropriate federal authorities, okay? So moving right along, cyber insurance is the fastest growing insurance product in America, okay? Again, cyber insurance is the fastest growing insurance product in America. So you guys who are looking for a job, or you want to get involved in this dynamic area of cyber attacks and threats, and you try to figure out what angle you want to approach it, where you're going to make your money, where you're going to make your next million, how to grow your company and take advantage of the activity in this space, I'm suggesting you probably should take a look at cyber insurance, okay? Let's read this article and see what's going on here. Cyber insurance is the fastest growing insurance product in America, fueled by a slate of recent corporate and government hackings. Yahoo Incorporated on Wednesday disclosed that an unauthorized third party stole data associated with more than 1 billion user accounts in 2013, the company's second disclosure of a data theft this year. In October, a distributed denial of service attack left hundreds of websites unreachable, including Twitter and Netflix. PricewaterhouseCoopers forecasts that the now roughly $3 billion corporate cyber insurance market will grow to $7.5 billion in premiums by the year 2020. driven partly by rising prices. The growth would be in contrast to flat or falling prices in most other types of insurance due to a lack of major catastrophes in recent years. So it looks like overall, as far as insurance is concerned, this is the growth area, okay? Going from $3 billion to $7.5 billion by the year 2020, which is what, 3 or 4 years away. And this again is insuring against cyber attacks, cyber theft, and cyber disruption. So let's read on and see what else is going on here. Nothing else is growing as quickly as cyber, said Bob Parisi, cyber product leader for Brokerage Marsh, a unit of Marsh and McLennan companies. Some of the leading carriers are telling us they are doubling their book every year. Cyber insurance plans are typically narrow and only apply to data breaches, including the cost of notifying customers and complying with state regulations. Rising demand will allow insurance firms to raise prices between 5 and 10% in 2017, with larger increases for retailers and healthcare companies, said insurance broker Willis Towers Watson. For most other types of commercial insurance, the broker predicted price declines. So again, as in comparison to overall insurance, this is the growth area. If you have flat to declining growth and overall general insurance, and you see that this is clearly a growth area, then I think you want to take a look at cyber insurance in order to really make an impact. But such rapid growth for a young product could leave insurance companies exposed to risks that they don't fully understand and unexpected costs. Unlike with natural disasters or car accidents, insurers don't have years of actuarial data to rely upon when pricing cyber insurance plans. And while insurers can spread out their property risk by insuring cars or buildings in multiple states or countries, it is hard to do the same with cyber insurance. A single cyber attack could affect many companies around the world. So again, this is very important, you guys. Cyber insurance is such a new area, mainly because when there's a cyber attack, sometimes it's regional, sometimes it's very specific to a company. Sometimes it could affect a company who has operations all over the nation or all over the world. It all depends. So when you're insuring for these types of catastrophes, there's a few things that need to be considered. How big is this attack? How devastating is it? How many offices, buildings, how many operations in how many countries? If it's crossing over, between one country and another one, that could really entail going back to the drawing board and trying to figure out how do you ascertain, how do you pay out in that type of case. In other words, the risk is such that you really have to know what you're doing. But the good news is this: look, whenever you have a market where it's not really clear in terms of how you're going to determine risks and premiums, etc., that means someone is going to have the opportunity to come in there and define what's insurable, what's not insurable, and who's going to go out and take the lead and guarantee coverage where the other ones won't. So in other words, if you go out there and try to figure and come up with a model where you can guarantee, give IBM, give Microsoft, give insurance and hospital chains some assurance that you're going to be there for them, you will probably be in a very good position to establish your company and your operations as one of the pioneers in that area when everybody else is trying to figure out, the perfect way of approaching it as compared to just going out there and getting some experience. Risk used to have some sort of geographic boundary, but cyber risk knows no boundary, said Inga Beale, Chief Executive Officer at Lloyd's of London, an insurance and reinsurance market. For example, October's attack was aimed at web technology provider Dynamic Network Services Incorporated, known as DYN, D-Y-N, which helps direct traffic across the internet. Before the attack, some insurance companies may not have known of their customers, let me repeat that again. Before the attack, some insurance companies might not have known which of their customers used DYN, making it difficult to predict how exposed they might be to a DYN outage, said Scott Stransky, Assistant Vice President of Air Worldwide, a risk modeling firm. Because of how competitive the cyber insurance world is, there are fewer and fewer questions being asked before policies are priced and sold, he said. The need for experts has made competition to hire experienced cyber insurance underwriters its fierce. Marsh joined this year with analytics firm Cynce, CYNCE, to help its clients assess their cyber risk, and broker Aon, AON, as in Nancy PLC, agreed in October to acquire cybersecurity specialist Strauss Friedberg, FRIEDBERG Incorporated. So in other words, they're saying that there's a real demand for cyber insurance specialists, anyone who thinks that they can come on board quickly and help these companies ascertain the risk and get up and running with risk modeling. See, this is all about risk modeling. How do you try to help a company ascertain their risk and write a policy to give them some reassurance that you're going to be able to cover these particular incidents? So you probably need some experience in maybe hacking or maybe cyber threats and such, and then you'll get an idea of what could be covered realistically and what can't be covered, and if not, why not? Okay, Strauss Friedberg is working with Yahoo on its two reported data breaches. People familiar with the matter said. Insurers, including American International Group Incorporated, have invested in or joined with firms that focus on cyber risk in recent years. Most companies with cyber insurance policies have payout limits of $10 million to $25 million, according to a survey by Aon, AON, as in Nancy again. Large companies can buy policies with limits above $100 million to as high as about $500 million, while most big U.S. companies have purchased cyber insurance coverage. Coverage remains scant among small businesses outside the United States. So another niche market, in other words, you guys, is going to be small businesses. How are they going to get cyber insurance? Who's going to write it, or underwrite it, rather? Companies are increasingly worried about hacks that cause website outages or damage physical infrastructure, and some insurers offer coverage for lost revenue due to a cyber attack. The growth of internet-connected household devices, from thermostats to watches to video game consoles, also raises concerns that hackers could use those devices to store malicious software or conduct attacks. The average payout from an insurance company for a data breach is $665,000, according to an October study by cyber risk assessment company Net Diligence. Business interruption losses could be much larger, experts say. Insurance executives say the October attack probably didn't cause insurance losses because cyber insurance for business interruption usually only kicks in after a website has been down for several hours. But it raised alarms among many insurers and their clients. That was one of the first events where I was like, holy hell, we're going to have an aggregation problem in the industry, said Emmy Donovan, North American head of cyber for Alliance Global Corporate and Specialty. So that's it for cyber insurance and a growth industry. If you want to get into cybersecurity, cyber threats and such, you're not quite sure where you're going to get in at it and make your millions for your company and yourself, take a look at cyber insurance. Okay, moving right along. Talking dolls are spying on our children. And this is an article, you guys, I wanted to get out there, and I was publishing this article mainly because I'm concerned about dolls and toys that are internet connected and that have Wi-Fi. At the same time, they have microphones, maybe they have cameras. The reason why I wrote the article and came up with the idea of promoting this is because I wanted people to understand that the dolls and the toys now that are internet connected with the microphones and the cameras, there's a possibility that they can be hacked into. And because these toy companies, basically, they don't put a lot of emphasis on security. And the reason why this fits so well under, cyber threats and our title of hacking, etc., is because you can hack into these toys. You can literally turn a microphone on when it's supposed to be off. And because these dolls, one of them is called My Friend Kayla, Kayla. Cayla, My Friend Kayla. And the other is a little robot or something called IQ, Intelligent Robot. Let me read a little bit of this and then we'll talk about the implications. Internet-connected toys pose privacy risks to children and their parents often aren't aware, according to advocacy groups for children and consumers. A complaint filed Tuesday with the Federal Trade Commission alleges that two talking dolls, My Friend Kayla and IQ Intelligent Robot, both made by Genesis Toys Incorporated, collect and use personal information from children in violation of rules prohibiting unfair and deceptive practices. The complaint was drafted by several groups, including the Campaign for a Commercial-Free Childhood, a coalition of groups dedicated to ending child-targeted marketing, and Consumers Union. The groups also filed complaints with data protection, consumer protection, and product safety regulators for the European Union, France, the Netherlands, Belgium, Ireland, and Norway. When a toy collects personal information about a child, families have a right to know, and they need to have meaningful choices to decide how their kids' data is used, said Katie McInnes, Technology Policy Counsel for Consumers Union, the advocacy arm of Consumer Reports magazine. According to the complaint, Genesis Toys doesn't get the consent of children's parents before collecting children's voice recordings and other personal data while they are using the toys. Genesis then sends the voice recordings to a separate company. Speech recognition software makes Nuance Communications Incorporated. Let me read that again. Speech recognition software maker Nuance Communications Incorporated. They're the ones that get this, the voice recordings and such, that may use the data for other products. So, in other words, a third-party company gets this information from Genesis Toys. This other third-party company, Nuance Communications Incorporated, is not in the United States. They don't have to abide by the rules and regulations imposed by our regulators here in the United States. So you don't know what's happening with these voice recordings. You don't know whether or not someone's going to be taking advantage of it or not. In previous cases, when the FTC has found companies violated the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, it has typically filed a civil administrative complaint against the company in an effort to get the allegedly offended company to change its practices. Genesis Toys, which says it is based in Hong Kong with an office in Los Angeles, didn't respond to requests for comment. The complaint sheds light on one segment of internet-connected devices that have dodged the kind of scrutiny and the publicized hacking of products such as cars, smart home gadgets, and baby monitors. So this is a critical point right here. When it comes to the security of toys and such, usually because these toys are made as cheaply as possible and they're marketed as aggressively as possible, no one cares whether or not they're hacker-proof. No one cares whether or not the data is secured or not. Okay, but if I hack into the My Friend Kayla doll, turn the microphone on, I can hear exactly what's being said in your home, wherever the doll is, in your home or your office, car, whatever. I can listen to what's going on. And then when the parents aren't monitoring the child, can you imagine some hacker hacked in, and this was demonstrated on a YouTube video. A hacker actually hacked into the doll, made the doll repeat certain vulgar comments to the child, just to illustrate that this is entirely possible. The doll was not designed with security in mind to keep the hackers from taking over the microphone and speaker and uttering some very vulgar, indecent things to the child, okay? It is not apparent to parents when they purchase a toy that the data is being collected, says Aaron Matskin, a Los Angeles-based tech litigator and co-founder of parenting blog Work Kids Wine. Work Kids Wine. That's kind of weird, a weird name, but it's Work Kids Swine or workkidswine.com. Okay, that's work, 2 Ks for kids, KIDSWINE.com. My friend Kayla, a $60 interactive doll that users can talk to, uses speech recognition on microphone and speakers to understand what a user is saying. The internet-connected toy submits the user's queries through a Bluetooth connection to a smartphone app to come up with responses. The Kayla doll is pre-programmed with phrases that reference Disney World and Disney movies, such as how much she loves the Walt Disney Company movie, The Little Mermaid, that would be difficult for young children to recognize as advertising. According to the groups filing the complaint, Disney had no agreement with Genesis Toys and no knowledge of the toy's phrases about Disney. A spokeswoman for Walt Disney Company says. So in other words, this doll is making reference to Little Mermaid and other Walt Disney properties and such. And the kids, of course, identify with those movies and those characters and such, and they start, feeling more comfortable with interacting with these toys, and who knows what is being exchanged in the way of valuable privacy-related information between the kids and the doll. Now, the IQ intelligent robot functions in a similar way and sells for about $90. My friend Kayla is sold at Walmart, Toys R Us, Amazon.com, and other retailers in the countries around the world. The IQ intelligent robot is sold at retailers in the UK. For both toys, the terms of service are difficult to find, and the documents give few details about what information is collected from the children, how it is used, or where it ends up, the complaint says. Children form friendships with dolls and toys with personalities and confide intimate details about their lives to them, said Campaign for Commercial-Free Childhood Executive Director Josh Golan. It is critical that the sensitive data collected by these toys be subject to the most stringent protections and not be used for manipulative, sneaky marketing. Privacy groups say the connected toy industry hasn't yet developed an effective way to ensure companies are transparent with parents about their data practices. But some companies say they are designing toys with privacy as a priority. Anki Incorporated, it's ANKI Incorporated, a startup that makes Cosmo, an app-connected robot that has been included on many gift guides this holiday season, uses sensors, a camera, and artificial intelligence to interact with children. However, it says it doesn't stream or store videos or images to the cloud, instead keeping them on the user's smartphone in an effort to preserve privacy. This information ends at the phone, and customers can delete this information at any time, says a spokesman for Anki. When Elemental Path Incorporated was developing its Wi-Fi-enabled toy dinosaur, Cognitoys Dino, the company decided to anonymize all data that leaves the device, even though it limits how much they can analyze the data, Chief Technologist J.P. Benini says. We knew privacy was going to be an issue in this industry, Mr. Benini says. The priority, again, is privacy. With websites and apps, parents are starting to take action. Devora Heitner, who works with parents and schools about digital community behavior, has observed more parents in the past year asking teachers to not only suggest, asking teachers to only suggest students use apps and websites that don't ask the user to share much information. Parents are getting more aware, Ms. Heitner says. The complaint filed with the FTC is based on a report on connected toys conducted by a Scandinavian consulting group on behalf of the Norwegian Consumer Council. In addition to my friend Kayla and IQ, the council also investigated Hello Barbie, an interactive doll created by Mattel and tech company Pullstring. Although Hello Barbie specifies that Pullstring won't share voice data, it may still share transcripts with unspecified parties, the report says. The advocacy group didn't include Hello Barbie in their complaint because it isn't for sale outside the United States. They said, Oren Jacob, chief executive of Pullstring, referred to his company's privacy policy to explain which parties may receive information. The policy says the company will send data to any parties that need access to the information to carry out their work for us, such as vendors who assist us in providing and maintaining the speech processing service. Mattel didn't respond to requests for comment. So this doesn't look like it's very comforting. Hello Barbie shares information with unspecified parties. The privacy policy is not very specific, and those privacy policies can be updated or changed or modified anytime without advance notice to the customers. Okay, so be careful with the interactive toys. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot of guidelines or best practices or standards or anything when it comes to protecting the privacy of you and your child's conversations or whatever. Let's see, moving right along. Ring doorbell vulnerability. Okay, there's these doorbells out there now, you guys. You probably bought them. You probably know somebody who uses them. You install this doorbell. It has a camera built into it, and it's Wi-Fi connected. When you leave home, or whether you're at home or not, you can find out who's coming to your door, see what's happening, respond accordingly, make believe like you're at home if you're not at home, record the video, store the video, review it later, respond to the person by a microphone at the door, again, pretend like you're at home or something. All sorts of bells and whistles, all sorts of features. But this is kind of revealing here. This is specific to the Ring doorbell. Because Ring doorbells are only secured to your door frame with a couple of screws, it's pretty easy to access the back of the unit. And if a hacker were to press that orange button, they'd be able to get their hands on all sorts of Wi-Fi goodies. In other words, you take the one way or the other, you avoid the camera, sneak up on it, unscrew it, press the orange button. Now you can program it to do whatever you need to do. So whether or not this thing is on and operating correctly or not, you've already compromised it, okay? So if you're a part of the household, a member of the household, and you get access to the household somehow because you're a friend, relative, associate, or whatever, come through the back door or something, who knows how you get access to the Ring doorbell. But as long as you know that this orange button is inside of the unit and you can deactivate it, now there's a problem. Specifically, Ring units are equipped with GainSpan, GAINSPAN, GainSpan wireless modules, and pressing the orange configuration button puts it into access point, AP mode. Once that access point is created, hackers can supposedly retrieve the MAC address and GainSpan's HTTP server. So beware of these wireless doorbells with the cameras, because hackers in Las Vegas at the Black Hat and at the DEF CON conventions are demonstrating over and over again that these things are not as secure as they could be. Okay, so moving right along. Major breach. Insurer blames system integrator. Okay. Community Health Plan of Washington, a non-for-profit insurance company, says a security vulnerability on the computer network of a business associate that provides it with technical services resulted in a breach affecting nearly 400,000 individuals. Okay, this is a major breach. Okay, we got 400,000 customers, patients' records being compromised. Again, Community Health Plan of Washington, D.C. This is probably listed amongst the seven, this is probably the second largest breach that we've ever heard of in this particular space. Okay, I'm going to include this in the show notes, but we just want you guys to know that a minimum of 381,534 individuals records were accessed, and they weren't accessed directly by way of Community Health Plan of Washington. This was what they call what's the proper term for it? A business associate. In other words, you have suppliers, you have vendors, contractors, working with the hospitals and hospital chains, and those guys are vulnerable. So just make sure you guys understand that when you have a bunch of vendors, suppliers, and different people, you need to treat that as one network, one entity. And when a breach occurs through one of those particular avenues, it affects everyone. Okay. I think one of the larger breaches in this space was the largest breach posted to the wall of shame in 2016 involving a business associate was a hacking incident reported in August by Newkirk Products Incorporated that affected 3.5 million individuals. Okay, so we've had some other breaches that were very large. One of largest. Okay, another breach in 2016. So it looks like there's a little delay in terms of when these breaches occurred and when they were actually reported publicly. And in the hospital sector, it looks like they need to clamp down on business associates, contractors, vendors, and get the information out as quickly as possible. Kate Borden, founder of security and privacy consulting firm the Marblehead Group, notes it is definitely true that organizations, both covered entities and BAs or business associates, underreport breaches. Many go undetected. In cases like this, discovery happens only by chance and not through the organization's diligence. So I think in this case, an anonymous person called in and said they're able to access confidential records, medical records, and if it wasn't for that, we probably wouldn't know that this occurred. Okay, so this is a major issue, and I'm going to include this in the show notes about this particular hospital, and you can look at the situation yourself. And if you work for someone, you know someone works for hospitals and such, make sure they understand that, particularly if you're a CSO, chief security officer, CIO, maybe chief or information officer, or some of the higher ranking position that's assigned to a charge with protecting data and such. Make sure you understand again that contractors, vendors, suppliers, everyone needs to be on the same page. Okay, and those systems need to be locked down. Reporting, auditing, disclosing to the public needs to take place quickly. So best practices can, again, be distributed throughout the industry so that everyone understands, what happened, when it happened, and everything else. Moving right along, I thought this was interesting because I've been reading a little bit about self-DDoSing. Self-DDoSing typically refers to the idea that distributed denial of services occurs when someone else is trying to take advantage and bombard your website, your network with distributed denial traffic. Traffic is coming in so rapidly from all sorts of computers and devices that it brings you down your network or your website, puts you offline. Self-DDoSing is a concept that a lot of people have been looking into lately, and you guys can read about it more yourself in the show notes or whatever. Just realize that when you self-DDoS, you're asking someone, hopefully from the outside, to test your network, to test your website. How much traffic can we sustain before we go offline? What backups, what rerouting, what mechanisms do we have to counter a significant amount of traffic that we generate intentionally, to see how resilient and how we're able to sustain an attack. Okay, so look at self-DDoSing. Try and get people to work with you to test out your network, test out your website, and see whether or not you have the resiliency that you should have. So we're going to move right along. Amazon implements password reset after credentials leaked online, illustrating an abundance of caution that will stand its users in good stead. Amazon has sent out password reset emails after a list of addresses and passwords was leaked online. Those emails and passwords were not, mind you, taken from an Amazon database, but the company said that because password reuse is rampant, it wanted to take the opportunity to prompt its customers to protect themselves. In the statement to affected customers, as reported by Gadgets 360, the company explained the situation. At Amazon, we take your security and privacy very seriously. As part of our routine monitoring, we discovered a list of email addresses and passwords posted online. While the list was not Amazon related, we know that many customers reuse their passwords on multiple websites. Since we believe your email addresses and passwords were on the list, we have assigned a temporary password to your Amazon account out of an abundance of caution. We recommend that you choose a password that you have never used with any website. The company's responsible efforts are entirely with merit. SailPoint's recent Market Pulse survey, for instance, highlighted that poor password hygiene continues to plague businesses, with 65% of users admitting to having a single password for all applications. Of course, proper password hygiene brings with it ease of use obstacles. Passwords should be long strings of random letters and numbers with a mix of lowercase and uppercase characters, and every account should have a different one. Doran Rose, CTO at SailPoint, advises the longer and more complex a password, the safer it will be. Ironically, writing down your long passwords on a yellow sticky note is better than using short ones. What's more, 12 characters should be the minimum. Avoid using the dictionary words unless as part of a complex passphrase, and add special and mixed case characters wherever you can. That's not to say that the post-it note is necessarily making a comeback to the cubicle. Okay, there are a couple of simple mental models that can help you remember your passwords, like using the first characters of a memorable phrase, Rose explained in an email. For example, Mary had a little lamb, its fleet was white as snow. 987654 becomes MHALIF was 98, blah, blah, blah. In other words, they're using part of that fairy tale rhyme, or whatever you want to call it, and throwing in some numbers and some characters to make a password. This creates what is called password entropy, complexity that makes it hard for the bad guys to guess your password. He added, try putting sites into mental groups by value or name or something else to help remember them. You can easily add something about the individual site to your high entropy password to create something unique. There are, of course, commercial tools and solutions that capture, store, and replay complex passwords and enabling two-factor verification. Something Amazon also urged its customers to do. It's always a good idea. So yeah, use your two-factor authentication. Use unique and individual passwords for every site. And let's put the pressure on these companies who don't have two-factor, who don't have the ability to use characters and numbers and uppercase and lowercase and all that. If they don't have that capability, we need to put the pressure on them to do so immediately. Moving right along. Every voter in Philippines exposed in mega hack. The database of the Philippines Commission on Elections, otherwise known as COMELEC, has been breached, and the personal information of 55 million voters potentially exposed in what could rank as the worst ever government data breach anywhere. The website of COMELEC was compromised by Anonymous before LUSEC Filipinas stuck the database online days earlier. It's believed Anonymous, their motivation was to persuade the commission to switch on security features in the vote counting machines ahead of national elections on the 9th of May. According to Trend Micro, which has a threat research center in the Philippines, COMELEC's statement that there was no sensitive information in the database is not true. Our research showed that massive records of PII, the Philippines, the Philippines organization, included fingerprints data were leaked. Included in the data COMELEC deemed public was a list of COMELEC officials that have admin accounts, the firm said in a blog post. So it looked like there was a lot of confidential, a lot of high security information that was definitely compromised, more than the Philippines agency wanted to admit. Based on our investigation, the data dumps include 1.3 million records of overseas Filipino voters, which included passport numbers, expiration dates. What is alarming is that this crucial data is just in plain text and accessible to everyone. Interestingly, we also found a whopping 15.8 million records of fingerprints and a list of people running for office since the 2010 elections. Trend Micro warned that voters could be targeted in phishing or spear phishing attacks, BEC schemes, blackmail, extortion, and more. It added that the incident highlights once again the need for organizations to classify, segregate, protect data based on its sensitivity under the watchful eye of a data protection officer. It will be crucial for companies to employ data protection officers, but even then it will be an uphill battle for various reasons, including cultural differences, argued Trend Micro CTO Raymond Jeans. Okay, so basically this was a very large data breach. If it's true, you guys, the 55 million figure, which amounts to every single registered voter in the Southeast Asian nation, will dwarf the United States OPM breach last year, which affected over 21 million government employees. So these government data breaches are extraordinarily large, and it doesn't look like they're getting any smaller, okay? Daily Motion breach. Daily Motion is a video, like a YouTube type of site where you upload videos and you stream them, you watch them or whatever. I don't know if you stream them. I think that's a paid version of Daily Motion. DAILY Motion. They had a breach. They had 86 million accounts compromised. So if you have a Daily Motion account, go in there, change your passwords immediately, and see if there's any sensitive information that maybe Daily Motion shouldn't have. Video sharing site Daily Motion has become the latest internet firm to suffer a major data breach after details from over 86 million accounts were hacked, according to the leaked source. The breach notification site says it now has a database of 87,610,750 million account details. These include user IDs, emails, and for 18 million users, hashed passwords according to Bleeping Computer. The passwords are apparently protected with the bcrypt algorithm, which leaves them exposed to determined hackers. Those 18 million users with passwords exposed in the breach would be minded to change them and update credentials on any sites they reuse these logins on. The breach is said to have taken place at the end of October this year. Alia Kolachenko, CEO of High Tech Bridge, argued that an insecure web application is most likely the cause of the breach. We should expect and prepare ourselves for mass spear phishing attacks combined with password reuse, which will allow cybercriminals to compromise many different accounts belonging to the victims, he added. The main wave may come just before or during Christmas shopping when people are stressed and less attentive, when hackers will have enough time to carefully prepare their campaigns. So this is Daily Motion. Significant amount of users, accounts breached. Let me read this last line here. In the case of Camelot, around 26,000 accounts were hacked because of reused credentials, while Deliveroo's lack of fraud checks meant hackers could take over users' accounts with compromised credentials and pay for items with historic credit card details. So, in other words, you get the compromised passwords, username, emails, etc. from Daily Motion, and you go to every other site on the internet, and you try it out, and you see whether or not you can use those passwords and usernames at other sites. I think this is probably amongst the last one. U.S. Navy admits to data breach. Again, U.S. Navy admits to data breach, 130,000 records exposed. The U.S. Navy has admitted to a data breach that exposed personal and sensitive information of 130,000 current and former sailors. According to a U.S. Navy statement, the organization was initially made aware of the breach at the end of October by Hewlett-Packard Enterprise Services. HPE said that a company laptop being used by an employee supporting a Navy contract was compromised. Sensitive information, including names, social security numbers, of 134,386 sailors was accessed by unknown individuals. The Navy said it will be informing all of those affected within the next few weeks and is reviewing credit monitoring service options for affected sailors. So far, there have been no sign that any of the data has been misused in any way, the Navy's report said. The Navy takes this incident extremely seriously. This is a matter of trust for our sailors, said Chief of Naval Personnel Vice Admiral Robert Burke. We are in the early stages of investigating and are working quickly to identify and take care of those affected by the breach. In a statement released to InfoSecurity magazine, HPE refused to elaborate on the nature of the compromise or how it was discovered. The security and privacy of our clients is a top priority for HPE. This event has been reported to the Navy, and because this is an ongoing investigation, HPE will not be commenting further out of respect for the privacy of Navy personnel, the statement said. Excuse me. The U.S. military is no stranger to data breaches. The huge hack on the U.S. Office of Personnel Management exposed data on around 20 million people, many of them military and other federal government employees. Okay, we covered that earlier. But yeah, this just reminds us that U.S. military is really under siege here. This announcement comes at a particularly embarrassing time for the U.S. military, as it has just launched a Hack the Army bug bounty program. The Army will be offering cash rewards to anyone who finds a vulnerability in public-facing Army websites. So yeah, it looks like you offer a bounty to hackers, and they hack in anyway, despite the fact that maybe they don't need the bounty or something. This last thing is kind of interesting because when it comes to cybersecurity experts like myself, we try to warn users, we try to warn customers, we try to let everyone know, you can use long passwords, you can practice password hygiene, you can do all these things to keep the hackers out. But if the components, if the equipment, if the routers, if the modems, if the toasters, whatever it is, if they're compromised before you get them, there's practically nothing you can do to keep the hackers out. In other words, if China is making most of the wireless devices that get us onto the internet, if the chips inside of the laptops, if the Army is using circuits and components made in China and Russia, if that embedded technology is compromised before it even gets installed, then obviously the hackers have a back door. That's known as a back door. So I'm going to editorialize a little bit. We need to make sure we have a supply chain that's accountable, that's monitored and certified to the degree of knowing that these components and parts and pieces that make up critical infrastructure, particularly in the military equipment, critical infrastructure, banking technology, the hardware and such, needs to be part of a supply chain that's monitored and certified and audited. And look like Walmart, I'll use this example here. Walmart is may be onto something. So you CIOs, CSOs, etc., cybersecurity experts, listen to this. This is interesting. Walmart is testing blockchain technology for supply chain management. U.S. retail giant Walmart is about to start a major test of blockchain technology for supply chain management. A pilot project which will start in the first quarter of 2007 and run for 4 months plans to leverage distributed ledger technology to track and trace pork in China and produce in the United States, two high-volume product categories with large markets. This will be one of the first major tests of blockchain distributed ledgers outside the financial services industry. Blockchain technology can help overcoming delays and errors, resulting in more streamlined and efficient supply chain management. In fact, the supply chain management sector is a prime target for advanced applications of blockchain technology. Among companies in consumer goods and manufacturing, 42% plan to spend at least $5 million on blockchain technology in the next year, according to a Deloitte survey. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm a big advocate of blockchain and Bitcoin. Blockchain is basically a hyper-ledger, public-facing ledger that typically is immutable. It can't be compromised. It can't be modified. It's a type of ledger that once records are entered into it, they can't be changed or modified. It's time and date stamped, and it can be inspected pretty much any time to make sure that whatever records that are input into the blockchain, whether it's notary services, something to do with inventory management, like what Walmart is talking about, whether it's, it's implemented in the financial sector to document and record transactions, whatever it is, it's part of this immutable record that cannot be changed, modified in any way. And it looks like Walmart is going to be using it as part of their supply chain management technology. And this could be major, okay, for any other company, any other industry that wants to make sure that they're, like in the military, where you have 9 million bits of components and parts and accessories that go into making a F-15 fighter plane or aircraft carrier or something, and you want to document and record and manage this supply chain to make sure every component and piece is accounted for. It is what it's supposed to be. Where did it come from? When was it implemented, or when was it purchased? When was it, whatever it is, okay? The blockchain seems to be the ledger to use to record inventory and components and pieces and parts. As explained in a recent distributed article titled How Blockchain Technology is Reinventing Global Trade Efficiency, the supply chain sector represents billions of dollars in enterprise revenue, but is fraught with losses and inefficiencies resulting from risk, fraud, or anachronistic manual paperwork delays. So this is what the blockchain is addressing, okay? Inefficiencies, delays, you name it, anachronistic manual paperwork. Okay. According to Frank Giannis, Vice President of Food Safety at Walmart and leader of the blockchain effort, the pilot project will give Walmart a sense of how blockchain technology works and how well it scales. The main challenge, Giannis explained, is setting up technology for farmers, field workers, and others to collect data and insert it onto the blockchain. Innovative data entry tools running on ubiquitous smartphones with backends in the cloud are expected to allow field workers to input relevant data to a blockchain ledger that tracks all data, making it accessible in minutes rather than days, Giannis said, thereby improving Walmart's supply chain efficiency, identifying bottlenecks, and reducing food waste. The project, a collaboration between Walmart, IBM, and Tsinghua University in Beijing, was first unveiled in October when the project partners claimed that they were creating a new model for food traceability, supply chain transparency, and auditability. By harnessing the power of blockchain technology designed to generate transparency and efficiency in supply chain record keeping, this work aims to help enhance the safety of food on the tables of Chinese consumers, noted an IBM press release. In fact, the pilot project was initially planned to track and trace Chinese pork. U.S. produce was added later on. I'm going to read this last sentence and then we're going to wrap this up. The technical platform that Walmart will use is based on IBM's blockchain technology developed for the Linux Foundation Hyperledger Fabric, an open-source blockchain technology intended as a foundation for developing blockchain applications. The platform has modular architecture that allows for plug-and-play components such as smart contracts, consensus, and membership services. In September, IBM unveiled a collaboration with Bank of Tokyo Mitsubishi, UFJ, or BTMU, which leverages the same technology to automate and streamline business transactions. Okay, so basically, I think, again, Walmart is demonstrating with the food and produce supply chain that everything can be and should be tracked. So you people in the aerospace, military, government sectors, etc., you should take a look at this project between IBM and Walmart and make sure you understand that more than likely blockchain technology, if you don't know, then you need to find out and make sure that you consider, if you want to keep track of like thousands or millions of pieces and parts and inventory where you have far-flung operations all over the world and you need to make sure everything is accounted for, this is probably the way to go, okay? So having said all that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this session and make sure you guys understand that I'm a cybersecurity expert, self-educated, self-taught cybersecurity expert, and we're getting this information out there for educational purposes. Take advantage of it, share it with a friend, relative, enemy, associated. We don't care who you share it with. Let's get the word out there that there are solutions, there are issues out there. There's a lot going on in the cybersecurity space, and we need to help do our part to make the world a safer place. If you have any questions regarding bug detectors, GPS trackers, audio bugs, narcotics detectors, X-ray baggage scanners, etc., give us a call, 888-344-3742. That's 888-344-3742. Okay, it's a pleasure sharing this with you guys, and you guys have a great day. Thank you. Take care. Bye.